Hey, I'm Neil Rubenstein, stand-up comedian, Oklahoma City representer. You're watching Tyler and John, All Punked Up Pod. Enjoy it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the All Punked Up Podcast. I'm Tyler Winters. John Pierman is here, and
You're damn right.
here he is. There he is. We got the opportunity a couple weeks ago. I think it was about a couple weeks ago at this point.
That sounds right.
To hang out with actor slash comedian, stand-up comic Neil Rubenstein. And this dude is extremely funny. I checked out his stuff before he came on because I hadn't heard of him yet. And checked out his stuff. Hilarious dude. And I'm only hoping for the best for him. Now, if you guys are asking, why in the fuck are you interviewing a comedian on a music podcast, about the scene? Well, Neil Rubenstein is very much in the scene. Some of you may have caught him opening up for acts. I think he said he's opened up for Motion City Soundtrack, Bayside, Taking Back Sunday. Am I missing any, John?
I don't think so. That sounds right.
He was on,
and how about he was on the first two Taking Back Sunday records?
Yeah, that too.
Suck on that.
Yeah, for real. Like, this guy is very much in the scene. He also opened up the first two dates of Adjacent Fest this past few months ago. So very much in the scene. This dude fits our MO. But why do we have him on? He has a special coming out this week called Have Some Dignity. It will be arriving on YouTube on August 26th, I believe. If I have that date wrong, it will be corrected in the interview. And you guys really need to check it out. I'm telling you, this guy is hilarious. I know John and I are excited for it.
Well, after you watch the special, make sure to like and comment on the special.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And subscribe.
Yeah. And who knows? One thing about this, and I learned that this was an actual normal thing. I always thought that stand-up comedians opening up for bands would be a great idea. And this came to me while I was watching the Blink-182 reunion at Coachella. They're just, joking away on stage. I'm like, man, a stand-up act would be great before a Blink show. And apparently that's been a thing for years. I just don't know how much it happens in the scene that we cover. But it is neat to see. So I'm hoping that with Neil's special coming out, I'm hoping it gets some buzz. I'm hoping he gets some followers and some new fans from this. And then hopefully we could see, more stand-up acts on some tours, because I'd be all for it. I love stand-up comedy.
I appreciate it also.
Yeah. All right, John, I guess without further ado, we should just get to our interview with Neil.
Let's go back in time.
Here we go. John? All right. Here is our interview with Neil Rubenstein. I do want to start off by saying that there's no entertainment I love more than, obviously music, because we talk about that a lot on this podcast. But the other form of media I like is stand-up comedy. And it's finally nice to be able to wiggle in some stand-up comedian on the show. John and I have actually been talking about this for a while. How can we get different types of people on this podcast, especially comedians, and still make it make sense, And I feel like you're the best one of those people to kind of start this off, because you just recently did a set at Adjacent Fest. I think you did both days, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you actually open up for bands every once in a while.
Yeah.
So this is awesome.
I did a full US 3 months opening for Motion City.
That's rad.
I've opened for Bayside a couple of times. Thursday, I'm the Avalanche, Taking Back Sunday.
And you said that you're friends with Newfound, the Starting Line, the drive-through era bands and all that.
Yeah, we all in those touring years, toured with all those guys. Chad, when Chad was in Shai Halud, I was in a metal hardcore band and we toured together.
Okay, awesome. I was going to ask, did you play music as well?
Yeah, I was in a couple of bands back in the previous life.
All right. Late 90s?
Yeah, late 90s into like very early 2000s.
Okay.
The last thing I did musically would be like 2004 or 5. I did an EP with a band called These Enzymes, which was Mike and Chris from the Rejects.
Oh, cool.
And Matt, on the demo, Matt from Motion City played bass. And then live, Derek from Brand New at the time played guitar.
Nice.
Right on. So you were in it.
Yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah.
So
I'm on the first 2 Taking Back Sunday records. I'm in it. Yeah, I was in it.
That's rad, man. That's awesome. And to kind of go back to your role as a comedian, stand-up comic, I've always thought that, comedians opening for bands, like being the first act, is such a great idea. Like it actually really hit me when I was watching Blink 182's, reunion at Coachella. And, I'm just watching and, the jokes are flying in between sets and that the jokes are planned. They're written, they're practiced beforehand and that sort of thing. Like, it's an act, which is fine. That's great. But it made me, knowing that, I'm just thinking they should really bring a stand-up comic on tour to open up with them. Because, that's basically what you're getting. And, you go on the Reddit threads and whatnot, and people will say, I could listen to Mark and Tom talk the whole set. Not play any music, just talk the whole set. And I'm like, well, imagine if they brought somebody on tour with them that can kind of loosen up the crowd in a different way than a band usually does to, as an opening act. And anyways, I think that's rad that you're doing that. Like, I didn't know that was a thing. And it's just so cool.
It's been a thing for, forever. The Richard Pryor's special was filmed opening for Aretha Franklin. Bobcat opened for Nirvana. Big J opened for Korn. Jim Brewer opened for Metallica.
Oh, man, I didn't know it was that deep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Ian Fidance has done a couple of stuff, maybe Front Bottoms.
Okay.
And I know Kate Willett and maybe Kyle Kinane have opened for Jawbreaker. So, yeah, it's not, it's not.
No, I think there's several comedians at the 90s Woodstocks too. Like they would have comedians sprinkled in, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's not a new idea. It's just it's not a very utilized thing because it is difficult. And it's not ideal for the comedian.
Sure.
But I have discovered that if the audience knows it's happening, then it'll go well.
Right.
It's when they don't know. It's like when I'm not on the bill or they don't advertise openers or like any kind of thing like that. When it's been like, oh, and Neil Rubenstein and comedian Neil Rubenstein, those shows have always gone like tremendously.
But if you can overcome a situation like that, you got to know have a strong act if you can overcome a restless crowd like that.
Yeah, sometimes there's no winning.
Sure.
But, you do what you can. You do your best.
So what do you do with an unruly crowd?
Just try to push through it.
Yeah.
You can't... A lot of times the things you hear, they're not hearing. So you can't really address that stuff.
Sure.
Like if there's someone in the front just being like, you suck, which doesn't happen. But if they're like, you suck. And like, I can hear it and maybe the 15 people around them can hear it. But the 1,400 other people have no idea.
For sure. It's not like being in a small club or anything where you can kind of address it. Yeah.
Yeah, if you address it, you're admitting defeat.
Yeah, for sure.
There was like when I just did Bayside, I'm the Avalanche, and I was going to go first, and then they switched the order last minute. And so I went in between bands, and I've discovered a few things that help make it go smoother, and we weren't able to get those things done correctly, and so I kind of came out like not everyone knew there was a comic, and
Got you.
I came out in a kind of a weird way, And so like kids were like, Avalanche, and then like
Ah,
I'm talking for 5 minutes, and like 5 minutes in, they start to realize like, oh, Avalanche isn't. What do we? Oh, we
they're
got
not coming out right now.
Came out. I
Yeah,
am not the Avalanche.
yeah. I was like,
There it
sorry
is.
guys, give me 10, and then we'll,
For sure.
Yeah.
So
I
sometimes, sometimes it's it's a little tougher than others. But
Yeah.
there have been shows like there were shows on that Motion City tour where it was just like, I mean, I would take a pause like before a punchline or something, and like you could hear a pin drop, and like 1,500 people were in the room. So like,
That's pretty crazy.
it is doable. It's certainly doable. And I'd say that like 3 out of 4 shows on that Motion City tour were like amazing. It was just like 1 out of 4 were like a bit of a struggle, and there was like there's a few things you can point to, but yeah, you just do it.
At what point did you make the transition from music to try and stand up?
I mean, it was like a long thing. I was on the road with bands, and then I kind of stopped playing music and started just touring with other bands, like just working.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, I ended up on TV for a while, and someone was like, "Oh, if you want to keep doing television, you have to, I guess, diversify your talents or whatever." And he like kind of convinced me to try stand up, and then I did it, and it was fun, and
Sure.
not right away, but when it got fun, then it like got fun, and then I was like, "Oh, I can still tour. I can do this. I can do my own. I can forge my own path." I think it's hard to like realize you can do that, and I think a lot of people are just stifled by like how our society is. Like we're just like, "Oh, well, we just do this. We just, and like not shitting on like taking the college route, but like even you guys, you were like, oh, we did a band, and then we went to college, and then we got real jobs, and then we got the, you know what I mean?" And it's just like, I was never going to be that. And it took a long time to figure out how I can not be that and still keep my individuality, not just be like another person doing X or Y. Like I can do things the way I want to do them, and
Sure.
What do they say? Like the audience will come to you, kind of.
Yeah.
Like, look, I'm not. The algorithm doesn't love me. I say the word COVID, and so TikTok took me off the air. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I'll do it how I do it. I don't know. I'll go be punk rock, and I'll go make fans or friends this other way.
Sure. So when you said that you were on TV, was that was acting, I assume?
Well, sorta. So I for a while I was involved in like the poker world and
Okay.
some gambling, and there was a show on Spike TV that a friend of a friend, well, now he's a friend, but at the time a friend of a friend was producing for Spike TV, this like basically like teaching celebrities how to play card games during like the poker boom kind of. And they needed like a quote unquote expert, and I was there, I was available, I was willing to do it, and it just kept going. It was just
John,
like,
do you remember this at all? Because John,
I don't
is a
remember that
big,
show specifically, but I spent most of my 20s playing, semi-professionally at least, kind of running games and dealing and kind of doing all the poker adjacent things for a long time. So
I did that, and then I made it a career somehow.
Sure.
It was on Spike TV. It was called Casino Cinema. It was like interstitials. Steve Sharippa and Beth Stern were the hosts.
Okay.
Yeah, we would just teach like Dennis Rodman how to play craps, or Scott Stapp how to play blackjack, or like whatever and yeah, it just never stopped. Like, you think you're going to do like 10 episodes, 12 episodes. It was like 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Or 5 years. And it was just like, all right, I guess we just keep doing this.
Right on.
And then someone was like, shit ends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, sure. So
Especially when it comes to TV.
yeah, they were like, why don't you try stand up that way? Like, people will see that you can do other things and you can like stay on TV. And
Had
I've
you done
literally
stand
never,
up before at that time?
I hadn't done it at that time, no. So
Okay.
that was like like, hey, try this.
Was that a weird suggestion then, or did they know you were just funny in conversation, so they're like, "Hey,
Yeah, I guess it was that. It was like I'm funny. I'm not shy about being on camera or like in
got you."
public speaking. I mean, ultimately he was right.
Yeah.
Like no one knew it at the time, but yeah, like this is what I like doing
Sure.
most.
So, had you given it any thought, in the past at that
I
time?
mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure like growing up, watching like whomever, Carlin or Sam Kinison or
Sure.
Dangerfield, I'm sure I was like, oh, this would be fun. And I remember like cleaning at my mom's house, there were some like fourth grade notebooks with like, just like whatever writing in it.
Uh huh.
So maybe somewhere in the back of my head, I was like, one day. I don't think, I thought this many years later, but
Sure.
you know,
Okay, so you kind of had thought about it in the past. Your buddy says, "Hey, maybe you should do some stand up. This TV thing is coming to an end."
buddy is a
So
stretch,
do you
but all right.
just do you just jump in?
Confidant.
I mean, how do you? Did you have any material at the time? Did you take a month, 2 months to come up with? Because I imagine your shows starting out are probably what 5-10 minutes
Yeah,
ish.
well, yeah. I mean, I did it. What did I do first? I took a class, like a basically like writing stand up
Uh huh.
class, and then like the graduation was like a glorified bringer open mic thing, and so like the 12 of us got to do like a prestigious New York City comedy club, with a couple of previous students,
Sure.
and it was fine. It went fine. There were some hiccups along the way, and when I finally like buckled down and was like, "This is what I want to do. I want to take this seriously." I took a lot of classes. Like I wanted to hear other people talk about it. Like
Yeah.
that really I feel like that really helped me improve, was like hearing different perspectives and like different people articulate the art, the craft.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
it seems like when I hear people talk about it, everybody's process is kind of at least a little bit different.
one of the headliners I opened for frequently, we were just like, I mean, this is like a week and a half ago, we were talking about that exact thing, like how like success looks different to everybody, but in like comedy, success doesn't look the same to anybody. Like no one's path is similar. No one's level is similar. Like even if you take like people who like are pure stand-ups, they didn't just like they don't do it the same way as each other. So it's like, and like one guy could just be like, success to me is doing cruise ships and being out on the road all the time. And then another guy will be like, oh, I'm not going to feel successful until I'm doing stadiums
Yeah.
or
Right.
whatever. You know what I mean? Like those people are still successful. Like they have homes and families and a
Sure.
fulfilling life, and and it's old stand up, but it's different for everybody. So,
Yeah.
some people,
Able to provide while doing what they love.
yeah.
That's successful.
So what did you do during COVID when you couldn't really do? I mean, were you still able to do a lot of stand up or?
That fucked me up pretty bad.
Yeah.
I felt like I had a lot of momentum going into it, and then shit got shut down.
Sure.
And once open mics started, I started going back out to open mics, and some Zoom shows to try and like keep the rust off. And then as soon as stuff started opening in the Midwest, I got a phone call like, "Hey, we're opening up if you're down to come risk your life." And I was like, "Yeah, that's better than what I'm doing now." So
Sure.
that was like October and November of 2020. So I flew out to the Midwest and did like a 4 or 5 week run, and then went home, broke my leg.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. And then as soon as I could walk again, I just left. I've been on tour basically ever since. For the
So you
most
took
part.
somebody's advice literally. They were like, go out there and break a leg.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
There it was.
Yeah.
There it was. Good job,
Yes.
John. You can leave now.
All right. See ya.
You're crushing it. Are you guys still in Missouri? Are you guys still in Springfield?
We're in Springfield, Illinois. Yeah.
Oh, Springfield, Illinois.
Yeah.
Yep, we're still here.
So I lived in Missouri for a time when I was playing cards because I moved to the St. Louis area for a little while.
For the riverboat.
Yeah, for the casinos there. I didn't have casinos here, so I actually did better when I just ran games and dealt, to be honest. I mean, it was just easy money. So
Yeah. I ran a room on Long Island, and it was,
it's an interesting life. Yeah, I can say that. There's a lot of interesting characters. I'm sure there's material there.
It's mostly podcast fodder, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah, it's more anecdotal kind of stuff.
Stories, yeah, you need like too much. You need to give too much information.
For sure.
But yeah, there's some stuff there. There's some wild stuff.
No, I mean, some of the funniest things I think I've ever said were probably around a poker table, but they would, like, out of context, they're not funny. But
Yeah.
at like when they're timed right, they're pretty funny. But even if I told the story now, they wouldn't be funny because it's just you weren't if you're not there.
Got to be in the moment.
But I mean, not to like be weedy, but that's the job, is to get the audience that doesn't know you, that doesn't have the information, to get them to that same place as succinctly as possible, so that they do find it as funny. Or
That's true. I was listening to Kevin Hart's podcast, and he had Punky Johnson on, and she was talking about how she's got, I think she's got some special coming up, and she was talking about how she's got this one story. I think it's about her marriage or her divorce or something, and it's really important to her, and it's really funny what she wants to say, but she can't figure out how to put it all together just yet. But she's like, I know when I figure it out, it's gonna hit, So that's the beauty of stand up. For sure.
That's the fun part, is the puzzle, the problem solving, the figuring it out. Like for me at least, that's like.
I mean, and even when it comes to a whole set, I would imagine, because usually you can pull everything in together. Like how do I go from talking about divorce to talking about playing poker? Well, I mean, you could probably attach those two, but divorce to learning how to skateboard or something. Like how do you do that? How do you tie those things together?
If I started playing poker again, I get divorced, so it'd be a really easy transition.
Yeah, that was a bad example. I'm sure a lot of divorces happened over poker.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. When we were talking about COVID and whatnot, and during COVID, it seemed like cancel culture was huge during that. It just like blew up, right? So I wonder.
Kinda.
Well, yeah. But I wonder if the COVID thing, at least the shutdown part, could have been a blessing in disguise for a lot of people who may have gotten canceled. They just kind of like weren't talking. But
they still had Twitter, man.
Well, I know. I always kind of wondered about that in the back of my head. But it also makes me want to ask or wonder, because we still are, like you said, we're still in that cancel culture. Does that affect how you write a show or come up with an act? Do you hold back at all? Like, I feel like, especially comedians, 10 years ago, it's like if you look at Eddie Murphy's Raw, for instance, that was was that in the 80s? Probably the 80s.
Mid-80s, yeah.
I mean, that doesn't age well, I don't think, today, but it is some of the funniest shit I've ever watched.
So,
and then you got Dave Chappelle and all that.
I don't like I speak my mind. It's gotten me in trouble in the past. I'm sure it'll get me in trouble in the future. I'm not really concerned. Like, do with me what you will. Like, a lot of times it's like, I'm not for you anyway.
Yeah, right.
I've never understood that part where it's like, I don't like this thing, it should go away. Like, that's a very privileged attitude.
Oh, big time. Absolutely.
Like, so to me, that's just like crazy. Like, no, if I don't like a thing, I put on a different thing.
Right.
Or I look at a different thing. Or I stop using this thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the whole, like, everyone should get rid of this thing. It's like, mind your own fucking business.
Yeah, and it's like not everything's all black and white like that, you know?
Well,
So
and that's the other huge thing, right? Is like that same energy thing where it's like the conservative, the Trumpy guys are like, Hunter Biden does coke, bangs hookers,
right.
you know, and then it's like George Bush does coke, and they're like, he's one of us, and you're like, huh, okay. Trump bangs hookers, they're like, yeah. They're like,
Right.
okay. Hunter Biden bangs hookers. Boo! It's like,
Yeah, right.
what?
Yeah.
Like, yo, same energy, kids. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And then like, yeah, I don't know. I'm realizing on my special, I like shit on white kids. I'm like, we made enough white people. We don't need any more white people.
Right.
And
Right.
I've had someone come at me in the past being like, oh, you're like a race traitor or whatever, which like, okay, you're definitely, you're not gonna like anything I do anyway. Like, that's a weird fucking energy to have. And then also like, the people that are gonna be mad about that are also gonna hate me because I'm Jewish. So like, what the fuck's the difference? Like, why would I
Sure.
hold back anything? You know, like, what am I worried about? Like, someone who's going to be mad that I say X, Y, and Z isn't going to like me because I am A, B, and F. You know, like, you're not.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make a difference what I do or don't say. Like, if you don't like me, you're not going to like me.
Right.
You know? And I learned that, I mean, I learned that very young, but I learned that in this industry because, like, I was clean for a while. Like, I wouldn't use curse words and I wouldn't like do anything like sexually explicit. Like even with euphemisms, I just wouldn't describe sexual things. And like I was like submitting for these like clean things and they weren't taking me anyway for whatever reason. And it was like, oh, well, like, let me just be myself. Like I'm trying to like fit into this box that doesn't exist or that I would never get in. You know what I mean? I'm
Right.
trying to
Yeah.
get into something that I'm not, you know, like I'm an octagon trying to like wedge into a circle. Like just get on, just be you, just be natural, talk in the language. Like this is the language I speak where I say fucking every couple of words and, you know, I say yo, like that's just the language I speak. If you are uncomfortable with that language, then we are not going to get along. You're not going to enjoy me regardless.
Right. No matter what you say.
Yeah, because even if I don't say the F word, like I'm still going to talk about my mom being dead and it's going to make you uncomfortable. Like you're like what we said earlier, like your audience is going to find you. Like we're growing up listening to the kinds of music we listen to. We're part of a small subset of it. It feels big because like our bands got big,
Yeah.
but like we're part of a small subset of people, and like those people have always carried me on their back. So like I don't know, like I embrace that now. It's like, oh, let me like, yeah, it might be hard opening for the Rejects, but like I'd rather fucking be on the road with those guys than fucking any other 5 people in the world. So,
Yeah.
like whatever, like I'm just trying to be in the box that I belong and not try to get in some other box.
Well, it's probably easier that way for you anyway, because there's no guards that really are up or no. You're not trying to play somebody or not, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you're always like, yeah, if you're like watching what you say or like stepping on eggshells, whatever, like whatever that expression is, like that it just makes it so difficult to just get, and then like trying to keep track of that. You know what I mean? Like, oh, am I allowed to say these things now? Or am I like, is this something like, is my audience going to be cool with this? Like, no, like, so I believe that most people that come to me tend to be on the liberal side.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have people that have followed me because I make fun of liberal stuff too.
Yeah.
And so I have like, I know on TikTok in particular, I have a lot of like MAGA followers because the very first video that I did that blew up was making fun of CNN.
Oh, nice.
And I'm not making fun of CNN because CNN and I'm making fun of news networks in general because they're all bullshit.
Yeah.
So like I would do a Fox News one, I would do a CNN one, I would do an And
Hey, you really hit the magas in the G spot
but
there.
right, but they saw, like, they picked up on it and they started following me, which is great. Like,
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna say some other stuff you like, but I'm also gonna say some stuff you don't like. And if you're cool with it, then we're all gonna be cool.
But
and
that's
it's the
what's
other way too.
Yeah, that's the beauty of stand-up, though. Everybody,
Yeah.
I think, should be able to laugh at themselves. Like take ourselves off of a pedestal. Like, everybody is living life, not the same life, but man, just don't take yourself too serious. We do some things that are ridiculous, and it's funny when they are brought to the attention, and especially, I will say, some of my favorite comedy is the shock factor. Like, most of the time, if you're laughing at something that a comedian says, it's because you weren't expecting the comedian to say it. But it's funny because you most likely have thought that, you know? So it's like, I don't know.
I think when the context and the intent
That's the
is
thing.
humor, then I'm never going to be offended.
That's the
really.
thing. And that's why
Personally.
I think, I personally feel like, and I don't know how you feel, Neil,
Or at least I haven't been offended
but
yet.
from the outside looking in, I feel like stand-up is getting to a place where it could possibly be untouchable to cancel culture to some degree. That could be wishful thinking or hopeful thinking on my part. But I think John makes a good point, because unless you're actually being hateful or your intent is to be hateful, then I think, you're going to be subject to being canceled. But if your intent is to just joke around, then I think people need to, leave comedians alone and just don't watch if it's not your cup of tea. I mean, I think when it comes down to it, intent is everything. It really is.
I agree.
I mean, Chappelle seems to be still okay, so I think everybody else is
But
safe.
again,
Just say whatever
it
you want.
depends on your fan base too. Like,
Sure.
I have a close friend who has like a little bit of a wokier fan base. I hate that word, but you know,
It is what it is. Yeah.
We know what you mean.
And they like made a misstep, and like that whole community like came down on them like tremendous. And it's like, no one's gonna be. If you're looking for perfection, man, you seal the box up now, man. You're not gonna find it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not gonna find perfection. Like, at least this person, they said something like mean to someone, and they were like, the person was like butthurt, like, they were mean to me. It's like, a lot of people are going to be mean to you. Like, at least this person's fighting for your reproductive rights. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, life's hard, man. I don't know. Fill out an application, I guess.
Yeah.
Or what's Maddie's touch grass. Go touch grass.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Get
go.
some air.
Yeah, I even feel like even talking about cancel culture and all that, like, I almost feel like I need to kind of toe the line here and make sure I don't say anything either, because, but
No, you're fine.
Oh,
If
you
they're
just,
gonna
you just
come
want,
get you, they're gonna come get you.
Yeah,
You
I know.
what mean?
No, I've been running everything through a filter.
okay, perfect, thanks.
And it's funny too, because it's like, what ends up happening, in my best estimation, is like, let's say, like, I have some leftist views, right? So I'm gonna say like some things that might be like whatever, and then if I make a misstep and that community decides to like troll me or try to cancel me or whatever, the other side is gonna be like, well, come here, come be a part of our world. And so where you had a well-meaning ally, you've just made an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understand like why you would eat yourself like that. You know, like use your noodle. Like, we're gonna
And use your own noodle, right? Like, don't just take because somebody else is saying one thing about you. Don't just
like, if this is how I pay my rent, I'm gonna need to pay rent, right?
right.
So if someone's like, well, he made a joke about whatever, and I don't like it, get him off our thing, I 100% guarantee that I can go over to the fucking truth.com people and be like,
Yeah, try it in a small town.
And be like, you know what? Jason Aldean had some good points. The Earth is flat. Let's go, guys. And everyone's gonna be like,
come on, Kyrie. Here we
hop
go.
on our horse. You know what I mean?
Ah, shit.
So what? Like, pick your battles better. You know what I mean? Like, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. And we can move on. I think what it does come down to is there's a lot of.
I'd like to discuss the flat Earth stuff.
There's a lot of that echo chamber stuff on Twitter or X or whatever the hell we're calling it now. And I think people just.
I'm not calling it X. I'll tell you that. I'll call it Threads before I call it anything other than Twitter.
But I think people are just echoing what everybody else is saying. I don't really think people. I think most people on Twitter don't really have their own true opinion on stuff, and that's, I think that's dangerous.
It's also a very vocal minority too.
It really is, but it seems larger than it truly is, right?
Because most people don't give a shit or are like, ugh, whatever, dude. Like, shut up, So it's like, I
feel like most of the people are in the middle and they're just tired of both. Speaking for myself.
I'm there too.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like, if you're trying to take away someone's rights, fuck you.
Right.
But that also applies to the people trying to take away people's livelihoods. Like,
absolutely.
Someone, listen, and I'm not.
Or your First Amendment rights in some cases too, really.
I'm not saying this is okay. But someone says something, maybe sexual harassment, right? Someone says something sexually harassing to someone. That person shouldn't lose their job. Like, we should come up with a penalty, sure. But, like, I can't.
Are you talking about when I complimented your hair? Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, all right, Louis is a bad example because, like, I feel like Louis is not the perfect example for this, but, like, by making Louis go away when he did, you also cost thousands of people work. Thousands. People that were struggling their whole lives to finally get an opportunity. The riggers, the lighting guys, the makeup department, the writing assistant who probably was sleeping on a cot in their friend's closet for years trying to get this opportunity. And, like,
and people that worked on his tour, I'm sure, too.
Mean, just name the things. All the shows he was involved with. All the things he's involved with. I mean, and then you wanted him to go away forever? Like, forever. Like, that's not the punishment. The punishment isn't forever. Because there are rapists and murderers who get out of prison.
Right.
Like, the punishment isn't forever. So, pick a thing. You know what I mean? Like, what's the punishment? What's the correct punishment? And it can't just be like this blanket thing like, you can't work ever again because you called someone a retard. Yeah. Like, come on, guys. Like, okay, yes, it was bad. He shouldn't. But you're going to force him out of that box, and you're going to make him go fuck with your enemies, dude. Like, you're going to go make him... You're going to go make him work on the Jason Aldean tour.
The thing is, too, it's like... It goes to what you said. Like, regardless, Louis C.K. learned his lesson. Like... I mean, he should still be allowed to work regardless because he didn't, like you said, he didn't kill anybody. I kind of want to be careful with what I say too, but it's like
Bill Cosby's out of jail. Bill Cosby's out of jail on tour.
Yeah.
Are you fucking out of your minds?
Exactly. So it's like he did the things he was supposed to. Yeah, what he did was weird and it is kind of gross, but hey, whatever. And not for nothing. Like, I know I'm going to get heat for this, but, like, if you look like Brad Pitt, would we be having this conversation? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
He does have a look. Yeah.
So it is.
I'm not saying yes or no. I'm just asking.
I'm never going to stop listening to him on Opie and Anthony, though. So, I mean, whatever. I'll listen to those shows until I die. I don't know if you're an Opie and Anthony guy, being from Long Island.
Not really, but no, Not
And here's
either way. I just never got into it.
Gotcha.
I think to sort of land this
Alright.
discussion, unless you guys have something else to say, but I think the way to cancel somebody would be, if you really want somebody canceled, just show with your money. Like, don't go to their shows. Like, for instance, I'm a huge St. Louis Cardinals fan. They absolutely suck this year. And my wife has asked me a couple times, do you want to go watch them play this year? I was like, no, I don't want to go watch them play because they have a terrible product right now. They are one of the top teams when it comes to attendance records every year. So
It's a great organization. I mean, they
it is.
put together
But what
a good product most years.
They've been good for a long time. Yeah.
But also, being a fan, I know how the business is. It makes sense. If they're selling 3 million tickets a year, even if they're putting a crappy product on the field, if they're still selling 3 million tickets a year, they're going to keep putting up crappy. What's the point? What's the motivation for them to spend more or get better players? So I'm opting. I don't want to cancel them, but I'm just not going to go because I don't think we should go if they're putting a crappy product on the field.
Well, I think you should go protest outside the
It's
stadium.
not that serious. It's just a game.
All right.
It's just a game.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's how I feel. Show you don't like what they're doing by not giving them money.
It shows how crazy of an influence Yadier Molina is.
Oh, yeah, for real.
Like, once he's gone, like that's it. It's the same.
He'll come back and manage. Though.
I can't wait.
All right.
I can't wait.
So.
He's going to be a manager.
Yeah.
So he's already managed Puerto Rico the World Baseball
and
Classic.
I think he managed some fall league stuff too, or Dominican League, something like that. He's we're so fortunate to have gotten to watch him play like that. That's he's the greatest to ever do it. I know that Johnny Bench is like a big deal, and I never got to see him, but I can't imagine. I can't imagine a better. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel.
Second best? Okay, second best.
I mean, I feel like...
Yeah, he might get 100% Hall of Fame.
He should.
It's going to be close.
I do wonder about that. He should. But it's like, we also had the privilege of watching Albert Pujols. But also, John and I, growing up in the Midwest, I mean, we were big Bulls fans in the 90s. I think of all the players that, Yachty, Pujols, and then getting to watch Michael Jordan day in and day out, I don't know.
I'm not really big into other sports, so I can't really be watching this but honestly, watching Yadier Molina, I mean, I was a fan from day one. Even when he beat the Mets. I was like,
are you a Cardinals fan then?
No, I'm a Mets fan. 100%.
Oh, Mets fan. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Oh, yes.
Yeah, that was rough. That would have been rough.
Yeah. 2006 or whatever it was tough to deal with because it was, the Cardinals.
Sure.
Same team that we dealt with in the late 80s when I was first starting to pay attention to stuff. But yeah, Yadier Molina, I mean, that's just, yeah.
But I didn't mean to kind of go off of Yachty here and how great he is as a player and just, a person in the clubhouse. It's just, you look at what Adam Wainwright's doing this year. He should have retired last year. I know he's trying to get to 200 wins, but it's he is not good this year. He just doesn't have it, and you just wonder if it's because Yachty's not behind the plate, his other battery partner. So,
yeah,
it's my dream to do a half pop punk, half Cardinals podcast.
We're doing it, man.
I can talk baseball.
Who's the Yadier Molina of comedy to you?
The best.
See the transition.
I mean, if I could, I would. Sarah Silverman to me is the pinnacle of how it should be. She's super smart.
I think I have a hall pass for her.
Super smart, super I love her politics, and I love that she will do a very important piece and be silly throughout it. And that to me that's just beautiful art. Just being able to talk about pro-life versus pro-choice and squeeze in fart jokes and whatever else. You know what I mean? It's such a delicate hand. and it's amazing. It's just
Yeah.
she's to me, and the other person I would say probably like in that world, like in that vein, would be like Bill Burr's ability to like present you with an idea you either like or dislike, and then get you to flip your feeling on it by the end of the piece.
He is a master of that,
Yeah,
man.
he's a master at that, and that
He is so good.
yeah, that's something I definitely like strive to accomplish, where it's like I'll present a thing and then like people will applaud the statement and I'm like, wait, give me a second, because you're not gonna like how this ends.
Yeah.
You know? That's a thing to aspire to. But yeah, Sarah Silverman for sure is like the Yachty of
of comedy.
Yeah.
So you have a special that you're about to release, right?
August 24th.
August 24th. What's the special going to be called?
Have Some Dignity.
Have Some Dignity. Is this going to be on Netflix, YouTube? Where's it?
It's going to be on YouTube exclusively at the beginning. When is this come out?
I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out what I'm allowed to say based on...
Go ahead and just spill the beans, and we will not release this until you make that announcement.
Okay. So yeah, it's going to be out on Equal Vision Records.
Oh, sweet.
Awesome.
It's going to be on there. They're putting it out.
Wow. What a good idea.
Yeah. So we're really stoked. Yeah, it's just like another piece to what I'm trying to do. Like it's just another, I don't know, to me it makes perfect sense. Like I'm not trying to be anything I'm not. My band would have been on Equal Vision.
Yeah.
Like,
it's almost sort of a full circle moment. You know, you were maybe striving to get there. Now you're here. It's just you're doing something else. That's rad.
Like it makes as much sense as it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like It's like they're putting out comedy now. No, they're putting out me. I'm the thing.
Mm-hmm. Hey, but maybe you might be a new trend. That might need to happen. Like we all know the music industry is weird right now. So maybe they, and Netflix specials are the thing. So get in there.
Yeah, maybe in 5 years there's like a comedy imprint on EVR, you know?
Yeah, you just never know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Equal Vision, is there going to be like, could this potentially have a vinyl release or anything like that?
It's definitely going to be on vinyl. I have a 7-inch out already. I have a 7-inch on Enjoy the Ride Records. That was like the first thing I did. And so, yeah, this will be a 12-inch.
Right on.
Yeah.
Pre-order such a great idea.
The 24th also.
Okay, great. So...
Are you a record guy?
I only by default, like only because the music we listen to came out on 7 inches. I never like, and since like being on the road, like I've sold most of my collection. I have like 10 or 12 inches left, and maybe like 10 7-inches left. Things that are like irreplaceable, not. Value's not the thing, but like just the fact that like this thing just doesn't exist anymore.
More about how you got it than what it is.
Yeah. What were we saying? Oh yeah. So, but it just our world that made sense to me. Like, you know, to have a 7-inch on tour, it just made sense. You know, and like I have guitar picks. I'm just operating as a punk band. It's all DIY. Just so happens, it just so happens I don't play punk music. Like that's just we're gonna operate like that, and hopefully we have the same successes. But
so you got the special coming out on August 24th. I mean, it seems like specials are like the new trend. It's been the hottest thing basically since the pandemic and whatnot. So for you, it's kind of a weird question. I got to think of how I want to ask it, but what are you hoping maybe that this special does? Is there like a goal that you're trying to get to? Maybe just get more noticeable, more recognized?
Yeah, just raise the profile.
Yeah.
I'd love to be in a position where me opening for some friends isn't a novel idea.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's just like, oh yeah, this makes sense. You know? However that happens. So if that's I'm on EVR. I have the pedigree. The special did well. I'm worth a few tickets in some markets. Then it's like, oh, let's bring Neil. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And if we can get to that point, I mean, that's all I can ask for, you know? And then I just want to be able to do this and not stress about whether or not, you know, like right now, like if my car breaks down, like I live wherever we break down, you know?
Yeah.
I would like to alleviate that stress.
Absolutely. Makes total sense. And to be able to do that doing what you love is, I mean, we talked about it at the beginning of this, but I mean, I feel like that has to be the ultimate goal, to be able to provide and all that.
I couldn't do it another way, man. There's no way I could just. I've never been able to like just go to an office or. I can't. I don't know. I was just. I mean, I was raised poorly, I suppose. I don't know. I just.
Oh, I still hate it.
I think too, it's just the type of personality that you have, you know. And I think a lot of creators and entrepreneur type mindsets, they're all that way, you know. I for one, you know, for my main gig, I'm a web developer, so I go to the office. I work from home sometimes, but it's like I'm still creating, so I get that outlet. And I definitely have a creator type personality, entrepreneur type personality, so I feel like that's a different type of office job that I'm not necessarily doing. So I totally get it. Like I wouldn't be able to do anything too mundane, like, you know, typing in numbers all day long or trying to meet, I don't know.
I always joke about that. Like I wish I could. Like I wish I could feel as fulfilled as I do now, like just punching.
But you know what? Those same people that are sitting in an office who maybe have that creator mindset are just too scared to, you know, go out there and do what they want. They probably envy you, you know? So it's like,
I mean, yeah, you know,
you just never know.
Yeah.
Just never know.
It is an interesting, you know, that our culture is just like the fear of homelessness is what keeps you at bay.
Yeah, well, and especially in this current economy, so I get it.
I mean, I mean, it's always been, but.
So, speaking of making money, though, do you got any tours? Are you on tour right now? Do you have any shows coming up?
I'm on tour right now. August is tough. August is always, I mean, notoriously tough. I am on tour right now. I'm in Albuquerque. I head over to Oklahoma City for a couple of days, Indianapolis, Nashville.
Ooh, nice.
Some Louisiana stuff, Atlanta, Richmond, Columbus, Ohio, Louisville, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, some New York City stuff, some Long Island stuff, and yeah, just always on the road.
Just grinding.
Literally always on the road, yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. So where can we get
dates at neilrubenstein.com? Yeah.
Okay, and we get tickets there as well, I assume.
Yeah. Well, I'm not great at the links stuff. I just put a list. You're gonna have to Google if you. Also, like, I just hate like, I don't know. I guess it comes back to like punk. Like, I'm doing a free show tonight. The special is gonna be for free. When we recorded this special, it was for free. You know, I put up a GoFundMe to like pay for it, but like. You know, I don't know, man.
You know what though? It's not really. Yeah, it's free for us to consume, but man, it's such a big investment. Like, you're investing in yourself here, so it's free for us, which maybe there's going to be a big payoff. I hope there is, man. I really truly do.
I mean, I've been living at this level for like 2 years now, so it's like. I don't know. What's the fucking difference at this point? Like, I just want to like create and bring smiles to people's faces. I don't whatever.
That's what it's all about. And man, like, you know, it's only up from here. I've seen your stuff when Becky she emailed me. I'm like, a comedian? Yes, we've actually been wanting to get a comedian on this. He sounds perfect.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I went and checked out your stuff, dude. You're funny. Like, I am definitely looking forward to this special. So I'm definitely going to be ready on YouTube on the 24th. Is that a Friday? What day is that?
It's a Thursday night. Yeah,
it's a Thursday night, so I know where to be.
Thursday to do the premiere. I just felt like it was like, I don't know. It felt like it made more sense. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know that like Friday is like whatever we're like doing New Music Friday is.
Right.
It just made sense that it'd be a Thursday, and
I think it does. Yeah, because then you let music have its day and let comedy have its.
yeah.
And where did you film the special at?
We shot it in New Jersey, in Montclair, New Jersey.
Okay.
At our friend's space. I mean, it was it was all homies. Like it was the space was donated by a friend. My Steve Padula from Thursday and my buddy Mike Dubin shot it, directed it, produced it, edited it. Mike Kennedy from the Rejects mixed the sound.
Oh man, so this is the real deal.
Right here. Like it was all friends. It was just all friends. Taking Back Sunday does the intro.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was just my buddy Fox Beats made the music for me. Yeah.
Oh man, dude, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. This is going to be awesome. Did you do it over? Was it just a one night take, or did you do it over 2 nights?
Yeah, we did it one shot.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Oh, one and done.
And so there's mistakes in there that I'm like, fuck. Like I wish I had another shot at this, but we just.
You know what? That's the risky take, I guess, when you're doing a one take, especially like, because I know for me, like at one point, even if I'm like locked in, I'm gonna think.
You let a fart sneak out.
Let that sneak out, but then I'm gonna be like,
yeah.
At some point, I'll be like, I'm doing really good. I only got one take of this though, and then I'm gonna be like, oh shit.
Yeah. Well, I feel like you can hear it in my voice a little like I'm like breathing kind of heavy at the beginning.
Sure. Kind of get settled in.
I'm a little not nervous, but like I have like a little bit of like anxiousness. Like, all right, we're really doing it. Like, get it right, Neil. And then, and like as it goes, like you see me like kind of settle in. Like I don't know if it's like obvious to other people. It's obvious to me.
No
one's said anything, so probably it's not obvious. But like for me, I was like, watching it, I'm like, dude, why are you going so fast? And then finally, like, I'm like, all right, like I almost wanted to like take that chunk out, and like Stephen Dubin had to be like, nah, dude, it's no one knows, dude.
Okay, and that's who you gotta trust that, because we're our own worst critics,
I know these guys love me, and they're not,
they want to put your best product out there just as much as you do.
Yeah,
but I think Neil, we could go ahead and try to land this thing. Then, is there anything that you want to add that maybe we didn't cover?
No, I just hope people watch the special. Come see me
August
live.
24th?
That's yeah, the special is just like an advertisement to come see me. Come see a show, hang out. Make friends.
Yeah,
that's what this is all about. I just want to wind down my time on Earth and like having a good time.
Yeah, and hopefully this is the start of something huge for you, Neil. Because
man.
you've been grinding and you've been doing your thing, and you like to see people like that put in the work succeed. So,
man, yeah, thank you.
Here we go. All right, everybody, listen or be ready on August 24th on YouTube.
Watch.
Be ready. Neil Rubenstein's special is dropping.
Watch and listen.
Have some dignity. August 24th. Thank you.
Have some dignity.
Yeah, thanks so much,
Like and subscribe.
Thank
Absolutely.
You yeah, and send me like the links or whatever, and I'll share. I'll do what I can do.
All right, definitely will.
Thanks so much, man. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, thank you, Neil.
Take it easy, guys.